Welcome to Help! I Have Kids. I'm your host, Pam Marshall, a mom of 5 and a pediatric occupational therapist with over 35 years experience. This podcast is designed to equip you with practical tools, insights from experts, and real-life stories. Because at the end of the day, you are the head of your child's care team. Each week, you'll hear from pediatric experts and fellow moms like you that will help build your confidence. They'll offer clarity and empower you to make informed decisions that work for your whole family. In this episode, we're kicking things off by talking about something all parents face: how to decipher where to find the best advice when it comes to parenting. These days, parenting advice is everywhere, and we all have so many questions. Some of that advice is solid, and some of it not so much. Some comes from Facebook, other Facebook moms who've never met your child or you, but they have plenty to say. We know this could easily feel like just another parenting podcast, adding more noise to the mix. That's actually why we started this as our second podcast, to cut through the noise and offer what parents really need, which is expert, evidence-based information you can trust paired with real encouragement. And we promise to practice what we preach here. You won't find fear-based tactics or trendy online courses that will change your life. Just honest conversations and practical tools to help you feel confident as the leader of your child's care team. In the end, whatever you decide for your child, we believe will be the very best decision. And today, we have our guest, Beth Blankenship.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so excited to have you because you are my friend.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, she's a mom of 4 boys, and she'll tell you a little bit about her family. But she's also a friend of mine I get to work with. So
Yes.
Beth is the clinic manager of Marshall Pediatric Therapy's Georgetown location, and recently she took on another role as the assistant clinical director. So she helps set the bar high for our clinical team that they're going to deliver the very best clinical treatment in that role. And we are just thrilled to have her here today. So Beth, tell us a little bit about your family and you as a mom.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you and to be able to talk to the moms and other moms who are maybe in a different part of their motherhood journey than I am now. But I remember those days, the early days as well as current days. But yeah, I'm a speech language pathologist. I have been a SLP for about 26 years. That's a really long time. I have 4 sons. Hunter is 21. Lucas would be 19 this year. Cade is 17, and our baby Jack is 13.
Can you believe your baby is 13?
No, I can't.
What in the world?
I can't. I know. Kind of insane. So 3 of our boys are home with us. Hunter's in college, Cade's in high school, Jack's in middle school. But our Lucas, he passed away in 2006 to SIDS. And that was a huge deal for my family, obviously. Led us into a completely different parenting journey. So we oftentimes talk about the parent Hunter had before Lucas, and then the parent Hunter had and Cade and Jack have after losing Lucas. So definitely some of the greatest joys of parenthood, but some of the deepest griefs of parenthood too.
Yes.
So I've been a working mom, I've been a stay-at-home mom, I've been a part-time working mom. I feel like I've done a lot of that. My husband Jimmy is a pharmacist, and we are very good partners. We parent together and have gone through all of this together with a lot of help from counselors and therapy and things like that. So that's something that we're not afraid to reach out for when we need it. But that's what's made me the mom and therapist that I am today.
Well, thank you for sharing that tender part of your story about Lucas. I know some of that journey, and I know, I didn't know you at the time you were going through all that grief, but I know how your heart is so willing to help other moms going through that grief.
That's what we promised each other, my husband and I, and the promise I made to myself and to Lucas was I wouldn't let his memory die with him, that it was my goal as his mom to keep him alive, not just in my heart, but let him be how I touch other moms. And, you know, a lot of times when moms come to us as therapists, they're grieving the child they thought they were going to have compared to the child that they have in front of them. And of course they love them, but they still have things to grieve.
That's right.
I mean, when my youngest had to have glasses, I grieved that. And that's just so minor in comparison to some of the things parents carry in with them. But I think that loving and losing Lucas makes me a better therapist and mom. I think it makes
so
my
true.
kids so much stronger. My boys are so empathetic and loving and strong because they've gone through it and they've watched Jimmy and I grieve for years. Yeah.
Well, you have gone through the deepest grief, losing a child. And grief is part of a parenting journey for sure on lots of different levels. You can grieve just when hard things happen to your children. There's grief in that and grief in many different parts of parenting. But you share that real special place, I know, to help and love moms through their grief. So that's a neat thing. Yeah. Well, today I want to talk a little bit about, what I want to start off with the question that we ask everybody on the podcast is, what is the best piece of advice that you received as a mom?
Okay, yeah. Wow. So you get all kinds of advice when you are pregnant, when you just have a new baby, you get all the advice from everybody, whether you want it or not. But the piece of advice that I always go back to is giving yourself grace. You're not going to know how to do it all, and you're not supposed to. I remember when my mom left Jimmy and I home after we brought Hunter home from the hospital, we just kind of looked at each other like, oh my gosh, they left us alone with this. We don't know what to do with a brand new baby. So, giving ourselves grace to make mistakes and to know it's going to be okay, but also just to soak it in. Like, it goes by so fast. I know you know that. When you look back and you're like, where did time go? And time's a thief. Well, it doesn't have to be. You kind of just have to enjoy the moment you're in. And a lot of times you're so tired. And I don't know, just giving yourself peace to be like, the dishes can wait. Let's just sit and soak up this time. You want to play a puzzle? We'll do that. So just living in the moment very much. And then also the funniest piece of advice is someone said, don't ever say, I will never do that when I'm a parent, because you will. You will do that.
It's so true. I can tell you a funny story about that. We, before we had children, we got a new vehicle, and we said, first of all, I will never have a minivan, and I will never let my kids eat in my car. What funny things to say.
Right.
We ate our words for sure, because we got a minivan, and oh yes, our kids ate in the car all the time. But that is good advice that friends shared with you for sure.
Yes.
Well, let's start with, was there a time where you felt you had a gut feeling, like you just knew something was up about one of your children, and you got some medical advice, but you didn't agree with it? What did you do? Did you seek a second opinion? What did you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a speech therapist, I know tons about ears and hearing and ear infections. That's part of our journey to become speech therapists. We do the same work as audiologists, so they work with ears. Speech and hearing are very closely related. So when Hunter was born, I was working full-time. My husband was in school full-time. So Hunter was in daycare. He went to daycare that I loved. I loved the owners, but he was sick all the time. Respiratory, everything, constant runny nose, constant runny eyes, and then that came with ear infections. So he would cry and he'd be in so much pain and fevers, and we would go to the pediatrician and they would put us on an antibiotic and it would get better, and then 2 weeks later he'd have another ear infection, so we'd go back.
You were just like in that cycle, weren't you?
Yes, and he was suffering. I was suffering because I was having to take off work and go get him, and we all know that that's not not our number one thing. We want our kids to be well, but it does play into that, having to get appointments and take them to the doctor, and knowing that constant antibiotics are not good for kids. But the pediatrician, and I kept saying, what about tubes? And, as a speech therapist, I know we can do pressure equalization tubes in those little eardrums so that their fluid drains into their throat where it's supposed to. And they were against it. They were like, not yet. He's not had enough ear infections yet. And I was
And
like,
you're thinking,
he's
how
under
many
10
does he have
months
to
old.
have, right?
Yeah. So I just, as a speech therapist, I knew an ENT that I really respected and trusted. So, and I knew that from asking other moms of kids who I had treated who'd had tubes and seeing how their speech and language was impacted from having so much fluid in their middle ears. So we went to the ENT, and he was like, yep, he needs tubes. That's too many antibiotics. So by 9 months, we were getting tubes in his ears, and
Wow.
his language is perfect. He's fine now. We didn't have any ill effects of sounding like you're hearing in the bottom of a bucket of water.
Right.
So I was glad that I pursued that second opinion and told my pediatrician, thanks, I appreciate it, but I'm going to go ahead and see an ENT just to be sure that we're on the right track.
So you followed your mom gut, and
Yeah,
it was right.
Absolutely. You have to trust it.
Yes.
You know.
You know
Yeah.
it. So have you ever gotten conflicting advice? Like when one professional says one thing and another professional says another thing, and you're just not sure which way to go or which thing to believe. Like,
Yeah.
has that ever happened to you?
Sure, and it's actually happening right now, sort of. So my family recently, we lost our home in a house fire, and we were all home.
Devastating, and a
It
miracle
was.
that you're here.
I know.
Yeah.
It was devastating for all of us. There were 4 of us home at the time. My oldest was at college. He just moved in that day that we had the fire overnight. But my other 2, Kate and Jack, were upstairs in the house when the fire happened, and we barely made it out of our home. Like, it was seconds before the home exploded. So there was, of course, a lot of PTSD, that post-traumatic
Sure.
stress disorder.
And I got to see those videos of it burning. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
Cannot
So
believe you made it out.
I know, we're very grateful. We are very grateful. But the boys are still having trouble processing that. I, of course, went to therapy immediately after, because I'm a firm believer in getting help when you don't know how to carry something on your own, and not feeling any stigma or shame in that. I know
Right.
my limits, and I know what I can do. And then also getting the boys help immediately. So Jack had a therapist before because he had some anxiety with middle school. So we had been with his clinician before, so I got him right back in. Kate, it took a little while to find a good match. He's the 17-year-old, and he's a very empathetic, very he's goofy and he's silly, but his heart's so big, and he worries about things, and he can get a little focused on stuff, and it's hard for him to let go. So we got him in therapy. It took us 2 tries. We finally found somebody that he had a good fit with, which I always recommend. Don't sit down with somebody and not feel the connection. You want to be
Right.
sure that you feel that connection. And I wanted to make sure Cade felt it too. Like, I asked him a lot, how do you feel? What do you feel? Do you feel like you can tell this person your thoughts and your feelings? You feel like that you have good conversation? And he's very honest with me, and he told me the first one wasn't a good fit, so we moved on to our second try, and it's been great, and we're seeing progress.
Oh, that's
so
good.
yeah, it is really good. So a couple weeks ago, the school counselor called me with a recommendation for another therapist. She had seemed to think that it should have gone better or faster, that we should be
Over it by now or something?
Yeah, he should be. And she said, I had hoped that we would be in a different place by now, because when things happen that are unexpected at school, the fire alarm goes off or is set off, he has that, very triggering for him. He has that immediate oh my gosh, I'm not safe feeling, and we've implemented plans with school. So I know it's impacting school too. So he's had to come home several times, or even just come and let me sit with him in the car until he settles down and he can go back. So I told her, I was like, his therapist feels like he's doing great. He's actually, the other day, I know he had a hard time, but he sat with me in the car for 10 minutes and then went back in, which is huge because it's been hours or
that's
days.
a big improvement.
Yeah. So, and doctors, when we first took him after the fire, wanted to medicate him immediately. And I was like, I appreciate that that's an option, and I'm not against medication at all, but I didn't want to go there first. I wanted to see if we could process this through talk therapy before we went to medicine therapy. But that's been a situation where there have been all these opinions, and doctors saying medication and therapists saying you're doing great, and school saying it's not happening fast enough. And Jimmy and I are just watching Cade, and taking our cues from him. And I think we did that even when the kids were little, processing grief with Hunter. I mean, he was 2 when Lucas passed, but he still grieved that in a different way. But just being able to watch him and make sure he's still eating well, he's happy, he's not withdrawing, he's being social, his grades are still good. Like, that tells me that we're okay. We're on the right track. We're not in a moment of crisis anymore.
You as parents know your child best.
Yes.
And you're watching his signs.
Yes.
And so you're taking these 3 different opinions and filtering it and figuring out what's right for him right now, what
absolutely.
you see.
Yeah.
So that's got to be very encouraging to you as parents, that you're making a solid, right decision.
Yeah. It is. It's very encouraging, and I think it shows Cade that we trust him, and we know that he can do it, and we're there to support him. But I also carry those same kind of things over with my families in the clinic. Like, I might be the expert in speech and language, and I know some really smart therapists. And we are the experts in what we do, but they are always 100% the expert on their child. So I always keep an open mind and an open ear and heart for what they have to share with me.
The moms know. You got to listen to them.
Yeah. And, what might be my recommendation may not fit their family at all. They might not be in a place where they can drive to therapy 2 or 3 times a week to correct an issue or to make progress. And if their family's not there yet, then it's not the right time for therapy. We'll still be here. So just giving them grace in those situations.
Well, I love that you're able to translate what you've learned as a mom and apply that professionally. So I'm sure those moms that you help feel loved and cared for.
I hope so.
And encouraged, because that's, I know, what we want is for you moms to be encouraged.
Absolutely.
Sometimes as parents, it can feel really weighty, very heavy to make decisions when you don't know what to do, when you're sort of perplexed as to how to help your child. And I think whether we're an internal thinker or an extrovert and process verbally, we can feel really alone. And I think it's so important to not parent alone, to not be alone, to just decide, okay, I'm going to let someone help me. I'm going to reach out to the right person.
You always need those support people. And I always feel sad when I see families that feel like they have to do it all alone, because there's so many resources that you can call on to help you make those hard decisions or just validate a decision.
Right. And sometimes it's just risking to stop and talk to your child's preschool teacher or talk to your, professional at your doctor's office to make the effort and ask, I need some help. Can you help me?
Yes.
And talk it through. Tell me about a time when you've really had to make a hard decision. Like, have you ever made a hard decision to stop seeing a professional or to go, nope, that's not what that's not what I want to hear. It's not right.
Right. Yes, absolutely. When Hunter was about 4 or 5, we were in between dentists, and everybody told me, oh, this is the place to go. Everybody here takes their kids to this specific place. So I was like, oh, awesome. This is exactly what I want. Very child friendly. I got great recommendations. So I take my cute little 4-year-old boy who loves and is so cooperative and smart, and they're all geniuses when they're your own babies, right? So he was perfect. He was perfect. Yeah. So I take him to this dentist, and the lobby was very interactive, and everybody was very friendly. And then the dental assistant comes out and gets him, and we go back for our X-rays. And I guess this is probably the first time Hunter's ever done this. Well, what you need to know about Hunter is Hunter threw up in every restaurant in Georgetown, Kentucky, every single one. We never went to a restaurant that he didn't gag.
Did he? I was going to say, did he have a hyper gag?
Yes. So, and I tell her he has a hyper gag. I didn't tell her in his earshot, because I know sometimes if we tell our kids, or they hear us tell somebody that something, they might react.
Worse.
It'll get that way. So I made sure that she knew that this could be an issue. So she tries to get him to do it, and he's gagging and he's crying. And she comes out and she looks at me and she says, he has a cavity. And I was like, yeah, that's why we're here. We're at the dentist. Is this not the cavity store? I don't know where you go for that. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, well, you should have been here a long time ago. And I was like, well, I just discovered it, so we're here today.
Trying to take care of it.
Yeah. So, and she's like, well, he's just being terrible. He's gagging and he's faking it. And I was like, no, he's not faking it. He has a really hypersensitive gag. I was like, even foods sometimes, if he gets a stray piece of food in the wrong spot of his mouth, it all comes out. And she just was having none of it. She was angry at him. She was already telling me I was a terrible parent because my child had a cavity.
Oh, my word.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't think, I think we're done for today. So we came out. I went to the car. Hunter's crying. I'm crying. Like, this is the worst possible. And I have a deep-rooted fear of the dentist, and I didn't want that for him. Right. So I was
trying. And immediately you're thinking, no, he's going to have it.
Yes. Yeah. So I ended the visit, and I called around to other dental offices, and I asked other people, and they found us a better dentist, and my cute, perfect little 4-year-old ended up loving the dentist and was actually in a commercial for the dental practice that we ended up at, telling everybody he loves the dentists. It was so cute. So, yeah, it ended up well, but I was glad that I stopped the visit, and I just, even though everybody else loved this practice, and maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe this was a bad day. Maybe she'd been thrown up on 6 times that day. But it cost them our business. I was not going to stay there and just be made to feel, small or not like a good mom. So I went with advice that I'd been given, but then I decided that I needed to do a little bit more research.
So it sounds like you made a wise decision to go ahead and go. And thank goodness your boy does not have a fear of the dentist.
He loves going to the dentist now.
That's so great.
Good for him.
Good story. So moms, you too can just say no when it's not right.
Yes, and stopping things that are not right. Just being bold enough to stop if a situation does not feel good to you. If it feels like, in any situation in parenting, if it does not feel good to your gut and to your heart, just say stop, and you have every right to walk out of any exam room, therapy room, school, church, anything that does not feel right to your mom gut, just walk away, because it's not worth it.
That's fantastic advice. And we as professionals, we live that out with the parents. Sometimes parents we're not the right fit for them.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's true, and we're willing as professionals to talk about that with parents. If we're not the right fit, we want you to be somewhere that is the right fit.
Absolutely.
And we do say those words sometimes to parents, and that gives them the freedom to go find the right fit for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good advice. Thanks, Beth.
Absolutely.
So sometimes we have so much information when we're trying to make decisions for our children. We might, hear something, read something, just lots of information coming at us. How do you make a decision? How do you make a decision whether a source is trustworthy or not? Are there red flags about a source that tells you, oh, that source is likely not to be trusted? And then how do you find trustworthy sources for your information?
Yeah, so it's interesting because you can look out there on the internet and find information on anything. You can Google it, you can Yahoo it, or however you do, and see those things. I tend to lean more towards the actual professional organizations. So if I'm concerned about my child's speech and hearing, I would go to the American Speech and Hearing Association. If I'm worried about gross motor and fine motor, I would find the associations for those skills and therapies as well. I tend to steer away from things that are laden down with advertisements, or they feel like they're selling me a service or a product.
Right.
Like if I feel pressure by it, or this, and looking, you've seen those things like 80% of people don't have wrinkles if they use this one time. Right. That's not true. So kind of using my common sense, but it's all on there to get you to buy stuff, and money's really powerful. So I tend to go to sources that I trust. I trust, obviously, the doctors that I choose for my kids. I trust their teachers. I will go to them for recommendations. I have a lot of really smart friends who have a lot of good ideas and connections. So build your village. I know we get tired of hearing it takes a village, but it really does. It takes a network for sure, and just to be able to sort through the red flags and what are these people? Do they have my best interest, my child's best interest at heart, or do they have their financial benefit from my business best in their heart? But I can feel that when I go into places and how people establish connections with me. Are they there to connect with me and my kid? And that I kind of pick my sources through that kind of stuff.
Well, I think that's a good explanation of kind of how a parent can filter through some of the information. I know for me as well, I like going to trusted sources, and I ask doctors sometimes, will you give me a source? Will you give me, a reference of where I can read this? And also, pediatricians have a lot of good information on their national association, the American Pediatrician Association, and the American Psychological Association, and also the American Medical Association sometimes have articles and information there. And I'm also very surprised at what there is a lot of developmental information that our government has put together over a course of many, many years. It's been years of, there's all kinds of developmental tools and videos and references that are really nice to find as well.
Absolutely.
So don't necessarily listen to the Facebook mom, even though everybody has opinions. Maybe find out what the source of that Facebook mom's opinion, where it comes from. So, well, what's like a mindset? Sometimes there's small mindset shifts that helps moms feel empowered or less overwhelmed. Is there something that you can recall that either you help the moms that you work with or you yourself, have used?
So I typically go back to trusting your gut. Trust your gut as a mom. Knowing that all kids do things differently, all parents do things differently. There's a timeline for everything, and we might not be right on the timeline with development and things like that. But we, as parents, it's our job to watch those things and compare what we have in our brain as being what should happen and what the child's doing at that time. But just trusting your gut, if building a network is huge. Just trusting your friends and find your people. Parenting's hard. We all make mistakes, but just we saw a lot of that after COVID. When people started coming back out and into the clinic, they were coming in with kids and they would be like, I wondered if he wasn't talking enough, but my mom said he was fine, and then I took him to the library for story time, and everybody there his age is talking in sentences and he doesn't have any words yet, but everybody tells me it'll happen when it's time. So just trusting your gut. If you wonder if your kid's on track, then go ask somebody to show you or help you do that.
Right.
Comparing your kids to every other kid at the playground is not healthy. You're never going to be exactly the same. But
That's true.
Yeah,
But
just a
asking
little
an
bit
expert,
of that.
asking someone who
and trust in your
has
gut.
it.
If you think it feels off, it probably is. And if it's not, you're never going to be disappointed that there's nothing wrong with your child, right? You're just going to be like, shoo, thank goodness, and just move on. That's what I do. Trust your gut.
True.
Build your network.
You kind of recapped what we've been talking about the whole session in this podcast is, trust your mom gut.
Mm-hmm.
Trust it. When you think something's not right or something's wrong, just move forward with the next step, whether it's reaching out to a trusted friend and then reaching out maybe possibly to your pediatrician or giving the nurse a call or talking it through with someone you trust.
Yes, absolutely.
And figuring out what the next steps are and how to find information, and ask professionals for information. Ask them to give you articles or research information or what the best practice is or the evidence-based practice to make that decision and be informed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have loved having you today.
Thank you.
You're such a gift to me. I love talking to you and learning from your wisdom.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
And
I appreciate it.
hopefully our moms that are listening feel really encouraged that they too can be empowered to make great decisions for your children.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to Help, I Have Kids. If you're tuning into this podcast, that means you're a mom who's curious, committed, and ready to learn. And we see you. We'd love for you to join our Help, I Have Kids Facebook community, where moms just like you are connecting, asking questions, and encouraging each other every day. It's a space for real conversations, expert insight, and support from moms who get it, because we're all in this together. And if you know a mom who's feeling unsure or maybe overwhelmed, or just needs to be reminded that she can do it, she can advocate for her child with confidence, share this episode with her. We're building a village here, and we're glad you're a part of it.